Hello everyone, welcome here to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So, we're back here with Decades. This is the 5th episode of the series. So what this basically is Ben came up with an idea and I agreed to do it. We're doing it as a mini-series, 6 episodes in total. We may do a 7th episode as a kind of look and see episode for the years beyond 20 and up. I'm not sure yet. I haven't decided, but I'm thinking that might be the case. A lot of really good. To be honest with you, that is the decade that I'm most familiar with. So for me, it goes the 60s, 70s, and 80s are all good. The 90s, probably my down era. Then you get to 2000s, a little bit further up. And then the 2010s to 2020s, that one will be even bigger because I have a lot more stuff. And then once it's over that 20, there's going to be a lot. But so I haven't had as many albums as I would like for the 2010 series. Or the 2009 series, So this decade, which is the 2000s, I've picked out 10 albums. So that's what we're doing. I pick out 10 albums for the decade that I like the best, and I give them to you. So, and I'm going to give them to you in the order that I always do, which is least to first, last to first, or 10th to first, however you want to say it. And what I did is I had about half a dozen albums or more that I've been listening to that I like, that I think deserve to be on this list, but they don't have a lot of time in with me. So I picked out the best of the 3 or 4 that I think is right. So the first one out of the book is just going to be this one, Rush's Feedback. This came out early on in the decade, or actually mid-decade, I think 2004. Basically just covers. Deep Purple did this last year, just covers of songs that they really like. Summertime Blues, The Seeker, Crossroads. Yeah, so they did some covers of some of these more notable bands. Just absolutely. It's a good album, The only reason I included it in here is because I don't normally like cover stuff, but this one I do like. So I just decided to include that one. I was going to include Styx's Cyclorama, but I don't own it. I've only listened to it bits and pieces, so it didn't feel like it measured up. Next up is this one by Warbler called Afterglow. This is a solid album. Still fairly new to me. Not really knocking it out of the park here, but I think it's still new, so you have to give it time because it's a prog album, and prog albums take time for me. Next one up is this one, King Crimson's Thrack. I do have quite a few King Crimsons, and I've been listening to I've listened to them all once, and I've been listening to this one a little bit more than some of the other ones, and this one came out in 2002, so I think it deserved to be on here. King Crimson, just some real solid stuff from them. Next up is this one, Chromebook 2 from Neil Young. I did like the Chromebook 1 quite a bit, but of course it didn't come out in the 2000s. This one I think is a 2004. Please correct me if... Oh no, 2003. It's 2003. Some solid stuff here. I generally like most of his stuff. I'm still getting into it, but I think I like it more than any of the other ones that I was looking at adding to. So the next one up is really the first one that I've had extensively been on my playlist, and I've come to like it quite a bit. It's the first one, Rush's Vapor Trails. For a Rush album, it's maybe a bit weak of the post synth pop era. But of those ones, it's probably the weakest, but still, it's a Rush album. It's solid. A little bit more negative than you usually get, but there's some real catchy riffs on this album, and that's why it makes it to my list. Next up Gets a little bit stronger here. Actually, the next 5 are very strong albums. This one, 7th House by IQ, recently in my playlist, has come out. It's got some real strong stuff here, including 7th House and Guiding Light. I like these tunes. This is a solid IQ album. That's your number 5. Number 4, we've seen this one before by me, Hinterland, their debut album from Wobbler. This one came out, when does this come out? 2005. Excellent album. The artwork is fantastic on this album, but the songs are all great, especially the super epically long Hinterland, which is absolutely killer. I love that song. And Claire Obscura, very excellent, both excellent tunes from Wobbler. Easily my favorite Wobbler album at this point in time. Maybe that'll change, but it's up there. Sorry, I'm trying to keep these things from falling over. I'm not doing excessively well at it too. So the next 3 albums, easily my 3 favorite. This one from The Who, their Endless Wire album. This came out in 2006, I believe. Yeah, this was an absolute killer. I played this a ton. This particular set also comes with a live at Lyon playing. They play I Can't Explain, Behind Blue Eyes, Make Mike Post theme, Bob O'Reilly, and Won't Get Fooled Again. Really well done. Excellent stuff. My favorite song on this album, I'm just looking for it here. Sorry. I can't even find it. No, I can't see it. Tea in Theater is really good too, though. There's some really good stuff on this album. Some people say this one wasn't that good, that the one that came out in 2018 was much better. I'm not going to argue with them. I think it is a better album, but this is still really solid. Yeah, I can't find it. I don't know where it is. Anyways, great album. I highly recommend it. So the next album was my favorite for the longest time from that era, Snakes and Arrows. This is a great album. I think this may be the best of the post-electronic Rush era, that synth pop era that came out with the album whose name I can never remember. I'm sorry. And I just did a video on it too, and I still don't remember it. I don't know what it is. It's a mental block, but I love this album. I love all the songs on here. Far Cry, absolutely killer. The Larger Bowl, another great song. Working Them Angels, that's great. Armor and Sword. So the first 4 tracks, absolutely killer. Main Monkey Business is great. That's the instrumental on the album, fantastic. Yeah, Malignant. Actually, I think Malignant Narcissism may be the, or maybe they both are. I think they're both instrumentals, but that Malignant Narcissism is really good too. And We Hold On, of course, to finish the album. Strong Rush album, maybe the strongest of their albums. Some people like Clockwork Angels, but that's not in this decade, so I didn't include it. And then the number 1 album, easily number 1 by a landslide here. This is not only my favorite album from this decade, it's probably one of my favorite albums. It's moved way up there. I suspect this album has a very good chance to crack my top 10 of all time. It's just so good. I never bore of it. I just love it. Sacred Sound and Red Dust Shadow to start out. These are both fantastic tunes. You Never Will. That middle tune is great. Born Brilliant. Yeah. And then Harvest of Souls to end off. It's just absolutely killer tunes. This album, there isn't a bad moment on it. I would highly recommend, if you're getting into IQ or you want to get into IQ, this is the place to start right here. Now, some people might say Frequency, some might say Wake, but the thing about these guys is that their albums are still getting better. Like, they're getting better. I can't wait to listen to some of the stuff that I've recently got too. So anyways, that's my 10. I'll just reiterate them just in case. So we got IQ's Dark Matter, Rush's Snakes and Arrows, number 2. Number 3, The Who's Endless Wire. Number 4, The Seventh House by IQ as well. Warbler's Hinterland. Rush's Vapor Trails. Neil Young's Chrome Book 2. King Crimson's Thrack. Wobbler's Afterglow. And Rush's Feedback. I wasn't going to include the last Rush album just because I didn't want to do 3 albums from the same band, but when it came to, I looked at the 5 albums or so that I had in there, and I just said, I just like this album better than the rest, even though it's a cover album. I just like it. I think they do an excellent job. The thing about Alex Lifeson that I love is his ability to adapt and play different stuff from different. He's just really adaptable. Guy can play anything. One time, Eddie Van Halen was asked, "How does it feel to be the greatest guitar player in the world?" And he says, "I don't know. Why don't you ask Alex Lifeson?" Now, maybe he was tongue in cheek. I don't know, but I wouldn't argue with that one, anyways. So, anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Decades. It was a difficult one to do. Like, the 90s were tough because I hadn't been listening to, and the 2000s were better, but still tough. And from here out, I think it'll be much easier for me. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed that. If you have, please hit the like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell and put your comments below. And if you've got anything to say about any of the albums, I'm willing to listen because I'm still new on these particular ones too. So take care and have yourself a good evening. Goodbye. Murph over.